You don't need a Harvard degree or a Wall Street job to get rich. You need to act smart with your money. Morgan Housel says it best, financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill, where how you behave is more important than what you know. Watch this video for the next 10 minutes and learn how to master the soft skill of investing. This is the Swedish investor, giving you the best tips and tools for financial freedom through stock market investing. Here are the top 5 takeaways from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. 1. Pay the price. If you want a nice watch, you have to pay for it. You wouldn't steal it and run, right? Investing is the same. You have to pay a price for high returns. And that price is volatility. On this channel, you'll find many strategies for high returns, like having a concentrated portfolio. But that means your performance will fluctuate a lot. You have to be able to handle big drops in your net worth, sometimes for years. If you can't, don't aim for high returns. Because the higher the returns, the higher the price. Imagine you invested a lot of money in Netflix 10 years ago. You'd be wealthy today. But could you handle the price? Netflix had many huge crashes along the way. Could you stay calm in 2011 when Netflix lost a lot of customers and the stock fell 80%? Could you face your family knowing that you risked their future? Could you still believe in Netflix? That's an extreme example, but even if you invest in something safer, like an S&P 500 index fund, you'll still face volatility. You'd have to endure 13 years of losses and 8 months of 50% drops since 1980. That's tough. Investing is a great way to build wealth, but it's not free. You have to pay the price. 2. Don't kid yourself, nothing is free. All investors have to deal with volatility. That's the price you pay for a brighter future. Never enough you get a $2 million bonus, and you're happy. Until you find out your colleague got $2 million and won, then you're miserable. Capitalism is good at 2 things, making wealth and making envy. You want to beat your neighbors, peers, and friends. That can motivate you to work hard and achieve your goals. But it can also make you feel like you're never enough. Let's look at some numbers. To be in the top 1% of income earners in the US, you need to make around $500,000 a year. That's what Bill, a highly specialized doctor, makes. He's rich by any standard. He can afford nice cars, exotic vacations, and hired help. He's proud of his financial success. Until he buys a vacation home in the Hamptons and meets his neighbor Stan. Stan is in the top 1% of the 1%. He's a CEO of a big company and makes $10 million a year. Bill feels poor next to Stan. But Stan is not happy either. He grew up with Michael Jordan, who is in the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Michael has a fortune of about $2 billion. Stan's salary seems like peanuts compared to that. But it doesn't stop there. Michael sometimes goes to parties with Jeff Bezos, who is in the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Jeff increased his net worth by $75 billion in 2020 and now has about $200 billion. There's always a bigger fish. Envy like this has made many people do stupid things. Some have borrowed too much money to chase higher returns, and then lost everything and killed themselves. Some have used insider information and ruined their reputation and freedom. Some have neglected their families and ended up alone or betrayed. By watching this channel and learning how to invest, you might reach a level of financial freedom that most people can only dream of. But you have to know when to stop. Don't trade what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need, even if you'd kind of like to have it. 3. Crazy is in the eye of the beholder. You might think that some people do crazy things with their money. Some people waste money on silly things, and some people hoard money under their beds. But we can't judge them because we don't know their stories. People have different backgrounds, childhoods, parents, experiences, and educations. That shapes their views and values. What seems crazy to you might make sense to me. Morgan gives an example of lottery tickets. The poorest households in the U.S. spend more than $400 a year on the lottery. That's 4 times more than the richest ones. And more than a third of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency. Do they gamble away their savings? That sounds crazy, right? But think about it from their perspective. They live from paycheck to paycheck, with no chance to save. They lack education and career opportunities. They can't afford nice things or college for their kids. Buying a lottery ticket is their way of dreaming of a better life. That's why they buy more tickets than we do. Maybe it's not so crazy after all. How does this help you as an investor? Well, it helps you to realize that we are different. You don't have to copy someone else's portfolio or strategy if it doesn't fit your goals. For example, you might have a higher risk tolerance than a billionaire, because you want to get rich, not stay rich. Copying the billionaire's portfolio might not work for you. It also helps you to say no to investments that are outside your expertise. For example, I'm not a trader, so I didn't join the GameStop frenzy. That's not my game. Understanding different perspectives, or at least that they exist, will help you make sense of the world and find your own path. 4. Peekaboo. What do the Great Depression, World War II, the financial crisis, and COVID-19 have in common? They all changed our society, they all affected the financial markets, and they all were hard to predict. Nassim Taleb calls them black swans. They are events that are rare and unexpected, have a huge impact. It seems obvious in hindsight. Imagine it's Black Monday, 1987. How would you react to the market losing almost a quarter of its value in one day? Would you panic and sell everything? Or would you stay calm and buy more? Here's a fact: if you invested in the S&P 500 index 20 years ago but you missed the 4 best days, you'd have a 164% return instead of 291%. That's a big difference. The lesson is that you need to prepare yourself, both mentally and financially, for the unexpected. You can't predict black swans, but you can be ready for them. You can have a long-term perspective, a diversified portfolio, and a cash reserve. You can also learn from history and avoid being overconfident. You never know when the next black swan will show up. You can't avoid disasters, but you can be ready for them. Stop listening to predictions, because the things that will scare the market in the future are the things that no one can see coming. 5. The seduction of pessimism. If I told you why the market will crash this year, with reasons like the huge US debt, the inflation risk, or the new COVID-19 variants, you would be hooked. You would think the market is doomed. But if I told you why things will get better, with reasons like the rising life expectancy, the cheaper green energy, or the exploding computing power, you would be bored. You would think it's too good to be true. Why is that? Daniel Kahneman says we are wired to pay more attention to losses than gains. We are more afraid of threats than opportunities. That's how we survived as a species. We also listen to pessimists more, because progress is slow and steady, but setbacks are fast and dramatic. Progress is hard to notice, but setbacks are easy to spot. Progress is vague and boring, but setbacks are clear and exciting. But don't let this fool you. The world is better than you think, as Sweden's Hans Rosling would say. So don't fall for the pessimism trap. Be aware that we are biased towards it. The world is not ending, and the market is not crashing. At least not for the reasons you think. So remember, you have to pay the price of volatility to get rich in the stock market. Envy is the worst of the 7 deadly sins. Don't risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. Different perspectives make different actions reasonable or rational. Don't try to foresee disasters, prepare yourself mentally and financially to survive them. And be careful when taking investment advice. Pessimism appeals more to your survival instincts than optimism does. Until next time, see you in the video.